So everyone's first word is sköldpadda. Am I right or am I wrong? Hi there and welcome back to Gladly Global. Hej, det är så trevligt att se ni här. Idag ska jag prata om svenska och hur jag studerade svenska. Idag ska jag prata om svenska och vad jag använde när jag studerade själv. Jag har pratat om kursen och hur jag studerade under kursens tiden i Lund på plats på universitet här, eller inte här, men där i Sverige, jag är nu i Jamaica. Jag vill också prata om hur jag gjorde själv, för att jag tror att det var inte bara kursen som fick mig att prata svenska så bra. Jag tror att det var jättebra att lära mig många olika ord och avancera förståelse, men när det gäller bara typ att prata med folk och typ säga roliga saker eller förstå memes på nätet, det var en helt annan sak. Och jag tror att vad jag ska säga idag ska hjälpa er, eller jag hoppas att det hjälper er. Jag ska ta den resta på engelska så att det är enklare att skriva undertexter, men ja. So the first thing that I used, and I used this long before, or I used this heavily in the first 3 months before I started the course in Sweden, and that is Sidor 8. So Sidor 8 is a website where you can read simplified articles in Swedish that takes like current news but breaks down into really short, very clear sentences. I use this to study words and also sentence structure and start like interacting in, like trying to immerse myself and break down things. And I think it is absolutely fantastic. There are different levels to how they convert these articles, and some of them are really, really simple. It could be a very difficult article that they break down into like 5 sentences or something like that. So really there's something for everyone at every level. So I cannot recommend Sidor 8 more. It's also something perfect to work with if you have a tutor as well, to guide you and practice vocabulary like that. The second thing is Duolingo.
The Duolingo bird when you haven't practiced in 2 days. Beg for your life in Spanish.
Everyone's first word is sköldpadda. Am I right or am I wrong?
Duolingo är de där orden ibland lite random redan från första början. Jag tror att Daves, en av hans första ord var sköldpadda. Det har inte kommit upp så där in conversation så hemskt ofta efter det.
I used Duolingo, of course, like everyone else, and what I think I definitely want to recommend is that you use Duolingo on a tablet or a computer so that you can see the grammar information. Actually, Duolingo just updated their interface and now you can kind of see the grammar a little bit more. So maybe you can check that out instead. It can help a lot, actually. I think what you need to realize though is that studying Duolingo doesn't actually make you remember things. It just kind of, gives you exposure to it. I highly recommend that you use Duolingo, but remember that Duolingo really is more about putting yourself in the mind frame and also being exposed. The first layer of exposure, you need way more layers. You need to hear those words that you have seen in Duolingo elsewhere. So yeah, recommend it. Number 3, den serien Bonusfamiljen på Netflix. Hear me out, Bonusfamiljen is a bit of it's a show that's kind of hard to like, okay, it takes a little bit of effort to like, especially in the beginning because it's so raw and like a lot of the characters are unlikable, like you don't like the characters and there's a lot of character embarrassment. So if you really cannot handle character embarrassment, I suggest choosing a different show. But I really think that it's almost impossible to grab the flow of speaking a language without really hearing it in action in a natural setting, in a natural place. And so I found that even though I was memorizing a lot of words, I couldn't speak properly until I watched Bonusfamiljen. So it was actually Bonusfamiljen that unlocked my ability to speak. It was super important. So I highly recommend it, and you can use an app like Glot Dojo or Language Reactor in order to have 2 subtitles and to understand everything and like, you know, take it at your pace. I also recommend watching TV shows over and over or something like that. You can also watch like Disney shows in dub. That's good too. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that because that's a different point. Number 4, Disney shows in Swedish. I watched a lot of Disney shows as well as like other children's shows that have Swedish dub over them, and again this allowed me to get like the natural feeling of Swedish. We don't think about it, but there's a lot of like the higher level advanced stuff that they tend to make us study in courses is actually a lot more about like this academic life or the ability to interact with like news or stuff like that. But for me, the really advanced stuff is understanding human connection, emotion, and perspective, world perspective in another language. And you can really get that from children resources because we use childhood resources to teach our deeper values to children. Our values, our societal values are inside of those shows. When you watch them, you can grab like the cultural perspective and not only the words and the grammar and stuff. So it's really helpful to train your ear. It's really helpful to train your speaking skill, but it's also great to get this Swedish world perspective. It's also great to get the Swedish world perspective. Number 5 is restart. So out of all the things, all the textbooks that we use for the beginner level, I like restart the most. I can make another video about intermediate and advanced and how I feel about that, but this is specifically a video for like I'm reflecting over what I did when I was a beginner. I want to recommend the Restart A1 to A2 textbook and workbook. And if you're thinking that the textbook is more useful, you would be wrong because the workbook is actually very useful, very clear, very concise. So if you had to choose one of two, then I would choose the workbook. But of course, it's nice to have both. I highly recommend the Restart. I cannot recommend it enough. If you would like a full review of Restart, then you can let me know. Maybe I'll do that. 6. TikTok. I used so much TikTok to study Swedish. I still use TikTok to study Swedish, but I really contribute like at least 40% of my listening skill to TikTok. So if you want to improve your listening skill, the reason why is TikTok is a short form enough video that you can get the context easily from the video. Like you know what's going on even if you understand zero of what is in the video, as well as there's usually text on the screen because they know that people are scrolling very fast. So they often have text and subtitles on the screen. Plus it is like stuff that is funny or relevant, or you know, young people are talking about it. You know, it's not like curated for foreign speakers. You can really get like the feeling of Swedish and what people talk about and how they interact with each other from these TikToks. Like I cannot recommend TikTok enough for studying Swedish, especially since there's not a lot of natural content in Swedish. It's not the most popular language in the world, so it's like just yes. do it.
Du, skulle jag kunna ladda lite?
Skulle inte kunna vänta lite, jag har bara 10%.
Förlåt, jag visste inte att det var inte meningen att göra det arg.
Jag är inte
Sluta
arg.
skrik! Sluta skrik!
Jag har bara 10%.
Hjälp! Jag tar tillbaka det, jag behöver inte ens ladda det. Jag vill inte ens ha laddare.
Number 7, YouTube videos. So of course, YouTube videos also work as an extension of TikTok. I have a lot of YouTubers that I like, but I guess as a beginner, I rewatched religiously Katrin series of Långsam Svenska. I think it was so helpful, as well as when I wanted to just kind of like listen to Swedish and how YouTubers went. I used some old stuff like Clara Henry's channel. But you know, YouTube is always helpful. And the last one is Italki and journaling. So I did have a Swedish tutor earlier that year that I was studying Swedish. I had an Italki tutor that I met once a month. And when I studied with that tutor, I would write journals, and then they would correct it and tell me or try to explain to me why it was wrong. And then we would discuss what I wrote in the journal. So again, as something that I want to kind of impart on you is that when you do these journaling things, you focus on the stuff that is relevant to you, and then you guide your teacher or tutor to helping you strengthen your conversation skills surrounding the things that you're actually interested in, instead of going into class and having no idea what you want to do. I always recommend actually having something in your circle to kind of talk about, you know. I almost always guide the tutor, especially if you don't have a big budget and you can't afford a full-fledged teacher, you know, with degrees and whatnot. Then it's up to you to really like think about what it is that you need from the native speaker, and then that native speaker can help you to move to the next level. Okay, det var allt. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you.